What's up, Kev?
Dana, could you the Torres Finney story to me is amazing. Like a lot of great stories tonight, but Finney's redemption and everything was just remarkable. Can you expand on what you thought of his performance, and were you at all biased against him going in, given you had seen him 2 times before and weren't impressed?
Yeah, so the way that I try to set my mind when I come into this thing, there's no bias. I don't even know anybody on this card until I sit down and look at the paper. I don't know who they train with, what school they're with, if they're with any other UFC fighters or any of that shit. So I try to stay as unbiased as possible. And when a guy comes in for the 3rd time, I lean more on the side of respect, that the fact that he's coming back and saying, okay, then I need to prove myself again. I need to prove myself again. So like I said, I went through his whole family and him. You can't deny that kid showed up with a complete different energy tonight. Not just fighting, and just his whole attitude and personality was completely different tonight.
Did any of them, when you talked to them, any of them say anything to you like about what might have sparked a change in him?
No, I didn't ask anything. I just came out here tonight. This show starts at 5 o'clock. I show up at like 5:06. I walk right out to the seat and I sit down and I watch, and I'll read, their stats and this and that. I know they're good. Or Sean and Mick wouldn't have them here. I just watched the fight.
You said the last time, and it was kind of a tough moment to watch him sit there, and you said you would be decimated in the UFC.
Yeah.
Now that you see him and doing this, how do you think he performs? Would he be decimated against equally talented UFC fighters?
Yeah, that's what we're going to find out. I told him, you did not impress me. I think you get destroyed in this division over here. And he went back and, he came back and handled business.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about was David Martinez, a guy that he shouldn't be doing this by all rights, right? A freaking doctor and, and everything, right? And he's here fighting professionally and smart in the ring and everything. What was when you saw him out there, what was your first take on him?
I love this kid. I think this kid is very special. The kid hasn't stood out like this to me in a while. I actually think he is ready to dive right into them. I mean, he's 11-1 now. He's only 26 years old. He's coming to his prime. I think he's got, obviously he's got KO power. He's got, 9 KOs. Great takedown defense. Leg kicks were on point. But like I said, fight IQ, off the charts. I think I told you this last week. We have this board that we just built. It's the Who to Watch. I literally want David Martinez at the top of the Who to Watch board.
And last thing for me, you were very complimentary of Jacoby. Can you share some of what DC was telling you? Because, DC likes to, pump up fighters, but, you don't hear him often mentioning somebody in the same breath as Habib.
And I since Habib, when we didn't really know Habib and all his, Cormier could not stop talking about Habib. And he's like, I'm telling you, wait till this guy bursts on the scene. Wait till this guy does this. Wait till this guy does that. And that's how he's talking about Jacoby. So we will see.
Dana, sticking on Jacoby, I know you said that David Martinez you felt was very special, but to me, Jacoby had the craziest performance tonight, right?
The difference is that I think that from what I saw, Martinez looks seasoned and just, Jacoby looks like raw talent. What couldn't that guy do tonight? I mean, he was fucking throwing that guy. Whatever he wanted to do, he did. There's obviously talent there, but I think there's a lot of raw athletic ability with him too. So, like I said, I haven't seen somebody like this in a very long time that wasn't already in the UFC. He was very impressive.
Yeah, and he was like heavy favorite, but that's what a heavy favorite is meant to do, right?
100%.
Ragdoll this guy and smash him to pieces.
When you're a 6-1 favorite, that's exactly what you better look like.
Yeah. And it's interesting, right? I feel like recently there's been this talk again of like boring wrestlers in the UFC. We've seen a couple of like grinding out decisions, but then you see a guy like him come in, finish attempts, like just going for the finish. It shows you that wrestling can be exciting. It's just about the style that you use in the cage.
Yeah, this poor Christian was in trouble everywhere the fight went. No matter where the fight went, this kid was in trouble. And the pressure that Jacoby put on him the entire time. And then the question became, is he going to gas? Can he keep this pace? Because when you look at him, you know, he's 8-0 with 6 first-round finishes. You know what I mean? So that's one of the first things I look at. I'm like, all right, he's 8-0, 6 first-round finishes. How's he going to look in the second and third round? And I don't know. Looked damn good to me.
For Torres Finney, right, I think one of the benefits of the Contender Series is every so often you'll get like a weird storyline that just kind of pops up and it makes them more recognizable to the UFC fan base, right? Joe Pyfe is the famous one. For this guy, right, he came here 3 times, took him 3 times, and he finally got in. Does this make him go into the UFC and his debut is already more anticipated than he would be if he was coming as a champion from a lower organization?
It's one of the things that I love about the show. One of the many things that I love is that, you know, when all these kids come in, they already have some type of hype around them.
Yeah. Earlier today, you did an interview with Kevin, and you mentioned that it wasn't necessarily true Francis made more money boxing than he would have if he stayed in the UFC.
Right.
My question is, you always said, oh, he didn't want to stick around because he didn't want to fight John Jones. Why didn't you mention the fact that he would have made more money to fight John then? It would have sort of backed up your point. Why did it take you until now to bring it up?
Because why? I don't give a shit. What's the difference?
I just think it's interesting for people to realize.
Because I know all the shit that you people don't know. And I don't care what everybody says. It doesn't matter to me. But that's a fact. He was offered more money. Because I know the real numbers. I know the real numbers. And let me tell you what. I don't want to call him out, but let me tell you what. He'd have done anything to make that fucking fight. And he tried to. Yeah.
You also mentioned in boxing, you know, there are Saudi trillionaires that are getting a little bit bored of some of the bullshit that comes along with boxing. Have you sort of looked at boxing? I know you said that you want to get into it. Are you now having second guesses, right? Every time it seems that you start...
I always second guess myself. Every time I start dealing with some of the stuff, I'm like, am I on my mind?
Why do it then? Why try it? Just...
Because why not? This is what I do. You know, this was just all about timing, and I just feel like right now is the right time. I mean, we went through this the other day. Kevin was asking me, why now? I don't know. I just feel like right now is the time. I waited and waited and waited, and I don't know. I feel it.
Hey, Dana, you mentioned that, I don't know if it's seriously or joking, that you'd like to see AI do the rankings. And we actually asked AI. I'm curious if you'd like to know who the top 5 are that AI picked for pound. So it's Alexander Volkanovski, Islam, Leon Edwards, Charles Oliveira, and Aljamain Sterling.
Yeah. I don't know what AI you're using. MMA junkie AI?
I'm just curious what you use. So you don't
Listen,
agree?
when we get a real AI platform in place.
So it's ChatGPT.
I can't wait.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Dana, I was just, David Martinez and Jacoby Smith had a lot of hype coming into the show. They obviously showed out. And obviously you see something in them. You kind of alluded to it. Like, are you ready to throw David Martinez in the deep end in the UFC in like the rank, like a top 25 ranking to see like where he is?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know where we would throw him in, but we get in a matchmaking room and we all start talking and we figure that type of stuff out. I'm not saying that this kid, you throw him right in the deep water. It's going to be his first fight in the UFC. I don't care who you are, where you came from, or how good you are. If you fucking fought in Bellator or this one or that one for many years and you were a champion, when you come here for your first fight, it's another level. And it's not just competition-wise, but nerves, crowds, the energy, everything is different when you step into the octagon.
I wanted your reaction to UFC Paris. The crowd was unreal. And that main event, we kind of talked about it last week, but it lived up, and Moicano beat the shit out of BSD. So what was your thoughts on that?
It was incredible. I mean, I was here, and the energy from a Paris show comes through on television. I mean, the fans in Paris, Hunter tells me all the time, Hunter's like, you have no idea, man, the Paris crowd, and you feel it on TV. It's awesome.
I'm assuming you had matchmaking today. Was Moicano versus Patty Pimblett talked about it all, or?
Not today. We were working on other stuff today. But, yes, we had matchmaking today.
Is Moicano, I mean, that win was really big for him. Does he get a big fight after that?
We won't talk about Moicano for a couple more weeks. So we won't even talk about him for a couple more weeks. First of all, I mean, you saw what happened to him, right? I mean, it's going to be a minute before he's even discussed.
Does that make his win, I mean, even more bigger in your eyes because he fought with that nasty injury?
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible what he was able to do with that injury. Yeah, and sitting in the corner was never even a concern. It's not even like they were, yeah, and they're lucky because if Saint Denis' eye didn't look like that, and the doctor went over to the other side, fight's off.
And then just talk about Salt Lake City this weekend, big main event. Alex Pereira is the guy right now, right? So what does a win over Khalil Roundtree do for him in your eyes?
It's another title defense. It's another title defense against a guy who is absolutely positively capable of beating him.
And finally, for me, have there been any more discussions about UFC Africa and what you're doing for that? Is it a fight night, or is it going to be a pay-per-view?
I have no updates on that yet, but it's being worked on. Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Dana, right here in the back. Just going back to UFC Paris, Brendan Allen lofted some pretty strong accusations against the French MMA Commission. Moicano seemed to echo those today on his podcast. Does the UFC take any steps and do an investigation of their own?
No.
Or talk to the commission or talk to the team?
It's not true.
Okay.
It's not true. They were feeling like they were being singled out. The French guys were available. I mean, they have their own doping organization that they use. And, did they make probably bad judgment around the weigh-in time? Yes. It's when those guys are the most miserable, dehydrated. The list goes on and on. There was no foul play whatsoever with them. But we get why they felt that way. But it wasn't true.
Dane over here. Amongst the standouts tonight was Montez' performance against Calderon. I just want to get your thoughts on that because it seemed like Montez had the steering wheel, but Calderon just couldn't get out of his face and just at times put Montez in big danger. So what was your emotions like through that fight? Every time I glanced over, it seemed like you guys were enjoying it.
He's on my bad side. What did he say? I mean my bad ear, not my bad side.
Oh, I was talking about the Montez-Calderon fight.
Yeah?
The one that ended Anaconda. So I was asking your thoughts on that fight. I mean, every time I turned around, it looked like you three were really enjoying the fight, and just Calderon was not getting off the pressure on Montez. So I just want to get your thoughts on that fight.
Yeah, listen, tonight was as good as it can get. I mean, it wasn't one of these nights where there's like, oh, these crazy knockouts where we're losing our minds. There were some badass fights tonight. I mean, every kid, no matter what the odds were, came here to fight, came here to win. And tonight's what the Contender Series is all about.
For sure. No, one of the announcements in these past couple of weeks was the Michael Chandler return to fight Charles Oliveira. He said that he may not be, or McGregor may not be his next opponent, but he definitely thinks he will be Conor's next opponent. Do you think that's a logical assessment, or do you think it's time to flip the page on that fight?
I have no idea. Like I said to Kevin today, Conor will fight in 2025. So however it plays out as we lead up to him being ready, I have no clue.
Sure. And obviously, like Alex said, Alex Pereira is the guy right now. But what do you think a win for Khalil Rountree would do, especially for you as a Vegas guy? I know Khalil got emotional when speaking about potentially bringing the title back to the city of Las Vegas. What do you think that would do for him?
It's life-changing for him. I mean, if he wins this fight, it's literally life-changing. It will completely change his life. Yeah. Good? All right. Good night, everybody.
Jacoby, over to your right here, in the front row to your right. Kind of was thinking maybe Daniel was just, pumping up the Cowboys when he was talking about you, but you obviously proved to be the real deal. When he's telling you, saying, hey, you can do all these great things and you can be another Habib, right? How do you process that? Like, because it's hard for a beginning MMA fighter, I would think, to imagine yourself people comparing you to Habib already.
It's an honor, I've been in there with Habib, and it's like walking into a tornado pretty much, so it's absolutely an honor. But I know the hard work you have to put in to get to that level, and I don't shy away from that, and I'm expecting everything that comes with it.
So how far away do you think you are as you sit here today to what your peak would be as a fighter? Like, are you 5 fights? Are you a couple years? Like, how long away are you, do you feel?
I don't think it's a fight thing. It's a commitment thing for me. You give me 6 months for me to really hone in on certain areas in my game where I know that I need to work on, and I'll be ready for anybody. 6 months to a year, it doesn't matter.
And the last thing I just want to ask you was, you saw the Bo Nichols saga, right? And, a great collegiate wrestler and everything. Did you feel in his last fight at UFC 300, he was fighting his most experienced opponent? Did we see the change? Like, did the level of opponent, maybe slow the hype train a little bit, in your opinion?
No, I think you see him just in there adapting, because being a wrestler, you learn to adapt to things on the fly, because it's such a beautiful but brutal sport that things can hit you smack dab in the face, and you better be ready to react or respond in the manner. In most cases, with him being a 3-time champ, a badass, he can very well respond. Great.
And let me just throw one other question at you. How long have you dreamed of fighting MMA, and then secondly, of course, fighting in the UFC? Has it been a thing for a long time, or is this a more recent thing?
It's been a thing for a while. Obviously, my first dream was to be in the NFL. My dad played football growing up, made a lot of money doing that, and that was my dream, but I was small. I didn't get over 150 pounds until I was a grown man, and once I decided to wrestle and had success in that, I just took off with that. And then, obviously, you piece the puzzles together, and fighting and wrestling kind of go hand in hand, so I just went with that. Congrats. Thank you.
Jacoby, in the fight, you landed this takedown where you put your knee on his knee, and it kind of twerked him. Of course, the internet was freaking out about it, but for people who don't know wrestling, what is that?
It's kind of a breakdown. You go freestyle wrestling, you go body lock, you try to get them to their knees. They got that tripod real strong, and you can't get them to break down, so you get to chopping at their knees, and it cracked, popped, and I mean, not to be evil or nothing like that, but it's a fight business. It's the hurt business, and once that happened, I kind of ran with it. And
yeah, there was a post saying that, like, oh, it's fine in a fight, but if you did that in the practice room, he'd be kicked out. And then Ben Askren came to your defense, was like, well, yeah, well, he did it in a fight. So
yeah, in a fight, obviously, we take care of each other in our gyms at home. I mean, obviously, there's some gyms, you get Sean Strickland, that'll mess you up. You come in, and I mean, there's an understanding at our gym, and we not in there to kill each other. We in there to iron sharpens iron, pretty much,
Speaking of the gym, can you talk about your move to Fortis and how it's improved your career?
It's improved my career greatly, mainly being able to be around my family. I'm from Oklahoma, and my wife was working at the hospital in Oklahoma, and I was traveling back and forth from California to Oklahoma. So I trained for 2 months, come home, fight, and get to stay home for a month and have to do that over and over. And it got tiring, and I just decided to compromise and meet somewhere closer towards home to where we could both be together, and family was just an hour away, And what better gym than Fortis MMA?
On the regional scene, there was a few times where you were complaining about the matchmaking and people pulling out, and like you weren't getting those opponents. Are you happy that now that you're in the UFC, more than likely fighters aren't going to pull out and you're going to be consistent in fighting?
Absolutely. The motivation is skyrocketed. You know, you don't have that. Maybe you're not going to fight. You're not going to get that paycheck when this is what I'm relying on. You know, I can't go get no job and do all this, you know, because I'm a stay-at-home dad pretty much. My wife is the breadwinner, and I'm trying to change my family's life. I'm trying to do something big for her. I don't want her, you know, I want to homeschool my kids, you know. I want to bring my family closer together. They don't really get to see each other much, and I'm the guy to do that. I can do it, and that's my plan, and I'm going to do it.
And finally, for me, can you talk about your last celebration at Fury FC 89 where you jumped up?
Absolutely. I just feel like it wasn't enough in there. It was 18 seconds, and it was done, and I'm just like looking around like, man, what can I do? Go do another backflip. And when I went, I didn't have my footing, you know, and just slipped, and it went from there.
Awesome. Congrats.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, man. Definitely been looking forward to this press conference.
You know, after the last time, it was hard not to feel badly for you, right? You're sitting there all alone, you know, and then he said you would get decimated. What was going through your mind at that point when Dana said you would be decimated, and how did you use that in the days and weeks after he said that to help you tonight?
Well, for one, when he said I would get decimated, you know, I grew up like that, you know, like tough skin. I didn't think much of it because, one, I've trained with a lot of high-level guys, and I knew that just wasn't true, you know. So, but I understand it was based off that performance, so, you know, it is what it is. But overall, you know, I just let that use that to fuel me. You know, I knew coming to this fight, you know, I had to definitely show something and be able to, like, really get my guy out of here. And that was the plan, like, really get him out of here in the first round. I felt like I had the capabilities of doing it, which is showcased. But I just think, you know, I was really ready. And even though I took this one on shorter notice, like, literally it was just 4 weeks. You know, the week after I fought, I get a call from Malky, you know, from first round. He was like, hey, we got an opportunity. And I'm like, really? I couldn't even believe they was actually trying to offer me to come back. So, you know, it was really awesome to finally come back on here and showcase what you really can do. And,
you know, after you come back, you know you have to do something big tonight, right? I mean, because you're not going to come back a fourth time if you don't make it tonight. So you know you have to do something big. Did you fight outside of what your normal fight plan would be, or is what we saw tonight what we're going to see every time you're in the UFC?
What you saw tonight is what you're going to see in the UFC. You know, I finally fought. You know, I was talking to my uncle. You know, I was talking to my coaches. It's like, fight your fight. You know, go out there and just do you. And you know, I was, you know, most of the time when guys come on a Contender Series, they looking to do that extra thing, obviously in the front of the eyes of the matchmakers and Dana White. But for myself, I said, you know, we just going to go out here and just do me. You know, the W is the thing that matters the most, which is I always go out here. I always have the W as the top of my list. And as long as I was going out there to win, everything else was going to play into itself. And I just made sure of that. And I was like, we go out here and just do Torres Finney, nobody can deny you.
And lastly, for me, the comment about, you know, he said, go out and get another fight. You had the Ultimate Fighter situation. You couldn't fight. So that had to be frustrating, and you didn't really speak out. You can't really say too much. You're a fighter trying to get in the UFC. You can't say much about Dana, but what was going on, and what did you say to your friends and family and whatnot when that was going on, the fact that that's a pretty substantial point that he wasn't aware of, right?
Yeah, there was obviously a lot of things that's going on behind the scenes, and I said that in a lot of my interviews. I said, Dana definitely has a lot of things on his table, so I'm sure that he didn't know. And, I was selected to be on Ultimate Fighter earlier this year, talked with a lot of my things with my family and my team on even taking that opportunity. And, I went there, they chose another route, and that took up 4 months out of my year at the beginning of the year, and that's the part of the things what I was saying in my interviews. Like, I went through a lot this year. Took up 4 fights instantly. When I got released from the house, well, potentially going into the house from the hotel, I instantly found another fight. We found a fight a week and a half later. I took it, went on to become one of the most viral knockouts of the year. And then, I was right back on Contender Series, which I had already had offered to me before the knockout fight. So I didn't even have to fight that fight. I could have came right back on the Contender Series because I was already offered the contract and not fight that fight at all. But with me, I was like, I want to get that experience. I literally said I want to get in the cage because I don't want to have these long layoffs. I don't like the 7-8 months layoffs. If anything, I like what I just did not too long ago now, not 4.5 weeks. I'm definitely going to need some rest now. But I definitely needed that, that timing to get back into the cage before I came back on the stage like this and perform.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Doris to your left. I mean, did you feel more pressure mentally going into this one, knowing it could be all or nothing, or was it more of like, I've been here twice, got 2 Ws, but let's just do it again in more impressive fashion?
No, not necessarily a lot of pressure. When I've been growing up, look, I've wrestled high level for a long time. Played football on big stages back from my hometown, and the pressure of just being an athlete, always looking up to perform. I know how to feel in these situations. I know if I just go out there and do me, I only worry about the situation at hand. I don't ever thinking about, like, all the other factors. Like, yes, was it in the back of my mind? We all human. Yes, it was in the back of my mind. But I wasn't predicating on that, man, I got to really do this because this could be my last shot. No, it was more of we go out here and we just do me. You focus on the task at hand, everything else will take care of itself.
And I'm sure one of the things that the matchmakers and Dana wanted more out of you in the previous outings was just to go to work more when you have those positions and the dominant control showings you just showed. So was that something you had in your mind going into this one, when I do get on the top position, go to work, or was it just kind of go out there, do Torres Finney?
Yes, we put a little bit more emphasis on the ground and pound, obviously, but if anybody have watched any of my fights, they know that I do that anyway. So, again, it was more of me getting back to what I usually do. And it's just – I think sometimes we don't give the respect to the other fighters, like Yuri Panfarov, my first contender, like Cam Ralston. Those guys did a lot of really good things on the ground, and they negated me from doing a lot of things, and it made the fight look that way in those type of situations. So I give a lot of respect to those guys. I definitely think those guys are high level and definitely be seen on the scene soon as well.
And before you got the ground and pound, you almost locked up an arm triangle. So how close was that, and how did it look like from your point of view?
Man, brother, that was close. He was gurgling like crazy, man, and I thought I was about to get the finish. But ideally, we did come into the fight, and we did say we wanted the ground and pound finish to say we got a knockout, we got a sub, and we got a decision. We won it almost in every single round on this show. What more could you possibly do? So that was good.
And going into this, a lot of fans on social media have just been kind of claiming for you to get a contract from the last 2 outings. So how did it feel to see that support on social media as you entered your third?
Yeah, man, my social media have been blowing up ever since from last year when I didn't get it, and obviously all the way, past the viral knockout up to this point, my physique and all that things, social media definitely has its power, and, it's been a blessing that I am able to have that to be able to showcase to other people, not only just for myself, but, what hard work can showcase for you, and I'm thankful for all the people that had a lot of support behind me, and, I really do thank God for them.
Last one for me. Victory dance. You had Dana and the matchmakers smiling and laughing. Was that the sense of relief you needed to hear today?
It was. It was more like, come on, man. What more do a brother got to do? Yes, sir.
Torres.
What's up, Alex? How you doing, baby?
Good, bro. Not as good as you. Can you talk a little bit more about just this whole year? It hasn't even been 1 year since your first fight on Contender Series. Can you just talk about, like what you were feeling mental health-wise? Like, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. Like, you saw maybe your UFC dream go away. Like, what were you going through?
Well, I always say this. I think God gives his toughest battles to his different soldiers. And I think I'm one of those soldiers that God has given those battles to. And I feel like I'm that guy that can deal with a lot. There has been a lot, not only within the fight game, but outside the fight game that I've dealt with. I've had a pretty big injury that held me off right after the Contender Series. Then, getting ready for the Ultimate Fighter, and then, the finding fights and getting the fight and being told no. It was just a whole lot of things that were going on. And, I just kept my head down and keep grinding because whether I win, whatever happens, I don't look back at those type of things. It's like, okay, we handled the business, now what's next? So that's the way I always approach things. It's like, what's next? Yes, we're going to celebrate this win. We're going to enjoy it, have fun for about a few weeks. And then we're going to be like, all right, what's next? Because now I already have plans of trying to get better in other aspects, because that's what I want to do. I want to be the greatest. I want to be the best that I can possibly be, and I know I can do that. So, yeah, if you have that up next mentality, you can definitely put a lot of things that keep piling up on top of you. But like I said, I think God gives some of his soldiers different battles for those reasons.
Now that you're up there, you have the contract, you're at your post-fight interview. How does it feel to be a UFC fighter, or do you feel like you have to get that UFC fight first to be one?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Along with my teammate Trevor Peak, being able to go through a lot of these experiences with him, and I'm going to be honest with you, I feel like I was already in the UFC. When you fight 3 times in a Contender Series, that's literally, you go 4-fight deal. I mean, heck, I've already done 3 of them, so I already feel like I was in the UFC. Like, going through the walk, all of this stuff, I felt comfortable. I was like, I've done this enough times, So like when that UFC debut, I know obviously there's some more added things to that week and to that day, but it'll be the same for me. It's like I've already looked forward to this. I know what I'm ready for.
I'm sure you get it in every single post you put, but people are saying drop down to welterweight, drop down to 155. Can you tell people what's up with that?
Well, if y'all can find out where I can drop it at, y'all please give me a call, because that's not possible. It is hard for a brother to drop to 170. It's already hard for me to get 85, let alone 170. But I feel like I'm really good at my weight class. I don't really, think about, the other things, because I've competed with some of the world's best. I literally have former world champions. I know where I stand, and I know I can compete on this level with the best of the best.
So when people say your height compared to bigger middleweights, it's like you've already competed against tall guys, right?
Yes, I've literally just went against a guy that was 6'5". I went against another guy 6 foot, 6'1". I mean, I've seen it all. I've seen 6'4". Growing up playing football, when you see guys that are 6'4", 330, 320 pounds, you don't ever worry about no height. I know the fight game is a little different, obviously, with length and striking and those sorts, but I'm never worried about height. I mean, look, one of the guys I would compete against, he's in the NFL right now. His name Coach Strange, plays for the Patriots. We played together at UTC. I see guys like him, McClendon, who plays for the Seahawks. I see guys like him all the time. I don't worry about nobody's height. And I'm playing on the D-line. I was Defensive Player of the Year, led the state in sacks. I've seen guys way bigger than me, and I would get through them all. And some of these guys are in the NFL right now. So I don't ever think about height or anything, because I've always went against that. Look, when you've been short your whole life, what's going to happen now? You ain't going to no taller. So, yeah, I'm not worried about that in the slightest.
And then finally, for me, what's the perfect debut? When would you like to return? And do you just kind of have like a perfect scenario in your mind?
Yeah, man. I'm definitely looking forward to sometime next year. My goal every year is to try to get 3 fights in. Hopefully, sometime next year around March or April. Give my body some rest. 2 fights in the span of 6 weeks is a lot. 2 weight cuts in the span of 6 weeks is a lot. So, yeah, I got to give my body some time to rest. But when next year hits, man, we're going to be up and rolling. Let's start this journey towards the title.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Alex. Anybody else? Thank y'all.
You like that microphone?
¿Te gusta el micrófono?
Me gusta mucho este micrófono. Increíble ya tener uno de estos.
Incredible to have one of those.
So I guess, I mean, what does it feel like now that you're a UFC fighter? Does it feel different yet, or do you feel like it's going to be more real when you actually step in there as a UFC fighter?
O sea, la pregunta que hacemos, ¿cómo es ser un peleador de UFC? O sea, creo que ahora ya estás en esto o va a tardar un par de días que va a sentirse un poco más real.
Apenas lo estoy asimilando, apenas estoy pues asimilando todo esto, es mi sueño y la verdad todavía pienso que estoy dentro de un sueño. La verdad que alguien me pellizque para ver si estoy despierto o sigo dormido.
I'm still digesting it. I'm actually still digesting this entire experience. What it feels right now is like you just pinch me to see if I'm not inside of a dream right now.
What did that experience feel like for you all week? Was it, like you said, it was like a dream, but did it live up to what you had thought about?
¿Y cómo te fue la experiencia durante toda la semana? Porque mencionaste de realizar un sueño, pero ¿cómo te fue? O sea, ¿fue como imaginabas que sería la semana que te llevaría ese momento?
La verdad es que yo pensé que yo sentía que como que los nervios ya los tenía un poquito más controlados. Sin embargo, estar en estos eventos de la más grande magnitud te vuelven a alocar todo lo que tienes. Entonces tuve que volver a resetearme y replantearme todo esto porque realmente amo lo que hago y sí es algo muy diferente.
I thought I had my nerves kind of down pat and down, and under control, but to be in a promotion like this of the highest level, it just gets the best out of you. So I had to kind of, settle down, reset a little bit, and I mean, this is what you want. So to be here, amazing.
Well, we couldn't see any of the nerves, so you did a good job there.
O sea, no vimos nada de nervios, así que hiciste un buen trabajo ahí.
What about the fight? What did you think of the fight? Did it go the way that you had anticipated it going? Did you anticipate it going the full rounds, or what were you expecting from your opponent?
Y de la pelea, ¿crees que fue como ustedes imaginaban, como tú imaginabas que iba a ser? ¿Esperaba que iba a los tres asaltos? De tu oponente también, ¿cómo fue la pelea en comparación con aquello que imaginaba?
Sí, realmente sabíamos que era un peleador duro. Aquí ya todos los peleadores son del más grande nivel y estábamos esperando un rival muy fuerte, una pegada muy dura y un background de wrestling. Entonces estábamos preparados y yo creo que sí, así era como lo imaginaba.
Yeah, we knew he was a tough fighter. Some of the hard to get to. I think everybody here is a fighter at the highest level. So we knew that he was a tough dude that actually had a wrestling background. So yeah, I mean, it went pretty much like we imagined.
And when you think about your UFC debut, what are you picturing? Do you see a specific opponent in mind, a location, or a date?
Y cuando piensas en tu debut en la UFC, ¿piensas en un oponente, piensas en una fecha, piensas en un lugar donde te gustaría hacer el debut?
Realmente ahorita lo importante era terminar esta pelea, que era era mi prueba, y ahorita estoy concentrado para mi hermana. Mi hermana pelea el 19 de octubre, entonces todo mi esfuerzo, toda mi dedicación y toda mi mente va a estar trabajando con mi hermana.
I think this is what we wanted to. I mean, my focus was this. My fight was my test. Get through that, and now, we changed the focus to my sister because my sister fights in 3 weeks. So all my dedication, all my work is going towards her now. Full dedication to her.
How will your life be different now that you're a UFC fighter?
¿Y cómo te va a cambiar la vida ahora que eres un peleador de la UFC? También.
Eso yo creo que apenas va a estar, bueno, o sea, eso no sé cómo explicarlo. Primeramente, pues me cambia la mentalidad totalmente, me cambia a ser un mejor peleador, con ello ser una mejor persona y pues bueno, ya acabamos de entrar a las grandes ligas, entonces es un gran sueño cumplido.
I kind of don't know how to explain it. It's like this makes me want to be a better fighter, want to be a better person, and also, I just got to the big leagues, so it's a dream come true.
Thank you.
Thank you
David.
so much.
How happy are you to be in the UFC with your sister?
Y lo cuánto feliz estás de estar en la UFC con tu hermana.
Yo creo que la cosa más feliz que me pone. Estar con mi hermana, estar peleando en la empresa más grande de todo el mundo junto con mi hermana, yo creo que es mi sueño hecho realidad y por fin lo logramos, hermanita.
I think this is the best part. This is the best of it all. Just to be with my sister, to be in the biggest organization in the world. It's amazing for both of us to have done this. Sis, we did it.
When you were fighting for Combate, was there ever a hope that you would come to the UFC, or were you kind of stuck in your situation?
No estabas peleando por combate. ¿Pensabas que, bueno, ya era una esperanza de venir al UFC o pensabas que estaba ahí un poco te detenía esa situación? O sea, estaba en esa situación, sería un poco difícil cambiarla hacia otra o las grandes ligas, como mencionaste.
Realmente siempre desde que inicié a pelear, este ha sido mi sueño. Esto siempre ha sido la meta final y pues nada más, siempre he querido pelear aquí en la UFC.
You know, ever since I started fighting, this has been my dream. This has been the ultimate goal. Ever since I started fighting, and the ultimate goal was to fight here in the UFC.
With the UFC going to Mexico next year, I'm assuming you're going to want to fight in that card.
Y con el UFC regresando a México, posiblemente el año que viene, como dijo Dana, me imagino que quieres pelear ahí, ¿no?
Claro. Yo, pues más que puesto para pelear en mi país, para pelear en México, para pelear ahí en la cartelera. Y yo creo que el primero que me apunto para poder ser un peleador de ahí de esa cartelera.
Of course, great to fight in my country, in front of everybody there, in that card, and I'll be the first one to sign up for it, to fight in that card.
And finally, with you being a doctor and now a UFC fighter, are you gonna do both? Are you gonna focus on fighting, or what's up?
¿Y ahora qué hacemos? Que eres doctor y peleador de UFC al mismo tiempo. ¿Que vas a seguir en los dos? ¿Cómo es eso?
Pues ahorita le voy como lo estaba diciendo en unas entrevistas, para ser doctor yo tengo muchísimo tiempo todavía por delante, pero la carrera como médico, la carrera como peleador es corta. Entonces le voy a dedicar ahorita todo lo que tengo y todo mi enfoque a ser peleador.
As I said, some people I have a long time, and I have a lot of time in my life to follow on my career as a doctor, but the shot of the UFC and actually being a fighter is not as long. So all my dedication right now, all my focus is going to be on being a fighter.
So when you get hurt in a fight, you're going to be able to diagnose yourself?
O sea, cuando te lastimas en una pelea, ¿te vas a autodiagnosticar? ¿Cómo vas a hacer eso?
Sí, pues realmente si me zafo un dedo o si me pasa algo, pues yo hasta me lo acomodo. De hecho, hasta me he inyectado yo solo. Agarro la aguja y me inyecto yo solito ya más rápido.
Well, if I, on my finger, I'll just put it back right away. And actually, I have just gave myself a shot. I administered myself a shot. I once needed it and just put it in.
Congrats.
Gracias.
Did your sister give you any words of motivation for tonight?
¿Y tu hermana te pasó algunas palabras de motivación esta noche?
Me dijo muchas palabras, sin embargo, lo que más me motiva es verla a ella, ¿sí? Ver que está ahí apoyándome, ver que mi familia y mis compañeros están ahí apoyándome, es mi más grande motivación.
Yeah, she said a lot of words to me, but I think the thing that motivates me the most is to see her there. Just to see that she's there supporting me, I'm on my side. I think that's my greatest motivation.
That's awesome. and last for me, Dana had said that they got this new watch board of people of who's to watch, and he says your name should be on top of that list, on top of that board. What does that say to you that Dana is putting you at the top of his list of people to keep an eye on?
Bueno, por último, de Kenny dijo que Dana tiene un panel ahí, bueno, tienen las salitas ellos, ¿no? Y que pone gente que tenemos que ver. Quédense pendientes de esos peleadores y esas peleadoras. Ojo en estos, porque van a hacer cosas grandes. Y dijo en la entrevista ahora que tú mereces estar ahí, tu nombre merece estar ahí. ¿Cómo te sientes que Dana White que te quiere poner el panel de ojo, porque va a hacer cosas grandes?
Mucha motivación. Me siento muy feliz y al mismo tiempo quiero respaldar eso que él piensa, porque yo también siento que puedo lograrlo y que todavía puedo hacer muchísimo más de lo que hizo hoy.
Very happy, obviously, and I want to back that up. Because I too think that there's a lot more to be done, that I can give much more, even way more than you saw tonight. Felicidades, bienvenido.
Muchísimas gracias a todos. Thank you so much.
The home run one, softball. Mismo año que fueron a la pelea, tú consigues el contrato. ¿Esto es destino? ¿Esto es magia? Suerte. You know, just so we could have fun with it, be like, damn, that is true. And then be like, Cain Velázquez, Tito Ortiz, Jay Rodríguez, Leonel Moreno, Alex Carrasco. Acabamos de tener la más grande de noches. Tercera, llegas en este momento, pero qué locura es que increíble ser parte de esta generación de peleadores en Europa. You know, like that. Like, dude, you have a big deal right now. This is kind of... Yes, you are loser. Habla sobre su contrato con su y lo que podemos esperar en el futuro. Su hermana en la...
Well, congratulations. How does it feel to be an official UFC fighter?
It feels great. I feel amazing.
Did it live up to what you had anticipated the moment feeling like all these years? When you dreamed about this moment, does this moment live up to that, what you dreamed about?
Cuando soñabas de esta experiencia, ¿es lo que pensabas?
Yes, like it's crazy because doesn't matter how many times you dream about that, or doesn't matter how many times you think about that. Like the moment it's arrives, like it's hard to express with words.
What about the fight? Did the fight go the way that you had thought it would, or were there some surprises in there?
Yes, a lot of surprise because the guys that really don't give me space for nothing, he just get like a dog in front of me, like throwing crazy punches. Like, okay, fuck, that guys wanna let me fight, like they wanna give me space. He surprised me a little bit, but look, I have all my life doing that. I say, okay, I need to change something. I need to adjust. And my coaches is tell me like during the rest, like, look, you need to do this, and pop, we change everything.
When you look at your life now that you're a UFC fighter, how do you see that it might be different? Do you feel like your life will, what in your life will be better or different now that you're a UFC fighter?
I don't think it's gonna be different or better, like, because like I always say, that's just the beginning. I just start now. Now it's like I got to do my first fight now. Like, I think everything is gonna be the same.
And thinking about that first fight, what do you dream that first fight's gonna look like? Do you have an opponent you'd like to fight, or a location or a date?
Look, now I'm ready for everything. I tell you again, it's like the first fight. When UFC told me, look, we have this for you, like, okay, we go, we do it. That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How did it feel fighting a guy like Calderon in there who just didn't get out of your face every time with anything you threw at him?
Yeah, it's hard because he's surprised. Like when he start like doing like crazy shots, I say, okay, I'm gonna take some space and I'm gonna start kicking, and I kick in, and he gets front of my face again, and I say, okay, guy, like go back, like moving. But he stay in front of me, and I say, okay, I need to start touching with my hands to start respect.
And before you got the finish, you almost locked up a Peruvian necktie. So I mean, how did that feel from your point of view?
Yeah, I think I almost finished him. I don't know how he can defend the first. I know he no defend. He just support. He just like resist. Like when I have the first darts, I think I have the darts deep, and he don't tap. I say, fuck, that guy is really like a dog. And after I say, okay, if I want to really catch you with one submission, I need to make him damage to get this spray to try to shoot. And that's the thing I do for the second round. When he tried to fight in front of me, I say, okay, I don't want to throw more kicks because he don't go back. I'm going to just I put my right hand on his face, and he's going to try to shoot. And that's the thing happen. And I want to take the Peruvian. I know I have the Peruvian, but I say, okay, I'm going to change for the Anaconda because he's out. And I know I'm going to finish with Anaconda, and I change Anaconda, I finish him.
Y rápidamente, representando a Venezuela, ¿cómo se siente oír eso en la UFC?
La verdad se siente genial, no tienes idea. O sea, representar a mi país sabiendo que hay tanta gente que de verdad se está esforzando y lo está haciendo bien, es un mérito muy grande poder darle ese alivio a la gente de Venezuela. Saber que, bueno, mira, hay una persona más representándonos en UFC.
En la misma semana puede ser que podamos ver un campeonato de otra vez de Venezuela. Juliana Peña pelea este fin de semana contra Raquel Pennington. ¿Cómo se siente ver eso y cómo crees que le va a ir a Peña?
Yo creo que le va a ir bien, va a ser una buena pelea, la verdad. Obviamente le deseo lo mejor y la voy a estar viendo.
¿Y qué crees que necesita pasar para que los países en Sudamérica sigan sacando talento como lo hiciste tú hoy y otros peleadores que han llegado por ahí?
Yo creo que lo que falta más que todo es choque, porque si tú ves, los peleadores de América, por así decirlo, tienen un nivel súper alto. O sea, yo tengo uno de mis mejores amigos que acaba de noquear al número 10 de Estados Unidos, una hermosa patada, Roy Echeverría, bien igual que yo, viene de Venezuela y acaba de noquear a uno de los mejores de acá. O sea, no es por falta de técnica, no es por falta de eso, solo falta de choque. Yo creo que cuando tengamos mucho más choque van a ver el talento que hay allá.
Y por último, ¿cuál es tu mensaje a todos tus fanáticos que te vieron desde Latinoamérica?
La verdad no me considero que tenga fanáticos, más bien como que gente que me apoya, gente que está conmigo, y eso me gusta. El mensaje es muy básico, es la verdad, persigan sus sueños, o sea, no crean que el sueño va a llegar de un día a otro. Mire, yo llegué acá hace casi 7, 8 años y como todo niño en aquel momento dije, no, yo tengo mucho talento, en 2 años estoy en UFC, pero era tanto trabajo, no sé qué, lo otro, cosas que no estaban en mis planes, pero igual seguí, igual era, ok, yo voy para allá, no importa cuántas piedras hay en el camino, no importa cuántas cosas tenga que hacer extra a lo que es mi entrenamiento, lo voy a hacer porque yo voy para allá. O sea, eso es lo que le diría a la gente. No se desvíen por cosas que pasen. Ok, háganlas, pásenles por encima de eso, pero sigan hacia donde ustedes quieren ir si de verdad quieren eso.
Felicitaciones.
Gracias, hermano.
Felicidades, Alberto, con el triunfo. Obviamente tenemos la presión tremenda de estar en este evento, pero ves a los peleadores antes de ti. Uno pudo finalizar a su oponente, otro también. ¿Esto agrega más presión de lo que tienes o cómo puedes enfocarte tú en tu momento y no tener nada que ver con eso?
La verdad, no creo que ningún peleador dentro haya visto la pelea del otro. O sea, eso es bien difícil porque cada quien estaba concentrado en lo suyo, cada quien estaba haciendo su calentamiento y solamente preguntaban, ¿terminó? Sí, ok, voy yo. Eso era lo único que pasaba allá adentro.
Y como dijo Jerónimo, tenías un oponente que estaba ahí en tu cara, no se echó para atrás, no se quiso rajar. ¿Esto pudo ayudar a tu game plan para poder atacarlo también, contragolpear? ¿O te sorprendió algo que digas, man, este muchacho no se va a retroceder, aquí está, pues vamos al 100?
Sí, me sorprendió porque yo sabía que iba a pasar porque lo vi como 2 peleas de él, la verdad no tuve tiempo de estudiarlo ni nada. Como te digo, yo entré de corto aviso, yo entré casi de 2 semanas antes, dije que hacía la pelea y se me salió el oponente y me encontraron hace 5 días, una semana. Y
Y lo vi pelear y dije, ok, sí, él va para adelante con todo, pero en lo que lo toque, en lo que lo frene, él va como a respetar. Yo creo que en su cabeza dijo, yo a Alberto no le voy a dar espacio, o sea, yo simplemente me voy a quedar en su cara y voy a tirarle todo lo que tenga. Y lo sentí así, cuando empezó la pelea me moví, dije, ok, me muevo, de repente tiró como 3 o 4 y dije, ok, boom, y de repente 3 o 4 otra vez y yo, ya va, cálmate. Entonces como que sí me sorprendió, la verdad.
Y pudiste finalizarlo en la lona, vimos que tenías la ventaja en el piso. ¿Eso es algo que ustedes estudiaron cuando vieron este oponente o pudiste hacer esos ajustes entre rounds?
La verdad, creo que fue ajuste entre round porque siempre, o sea, yo soy un peleador, me considero un 50-50, yo puedo pelear de pies, puedo pelear en el piso, pero en este caso sabíamos que él sí iba a buscar el striking, pero como te lo digo, en ese sentido de solamente tirarme con todo, no algo así como que hacerme setups, como si ser un striker de verdad, pero su plan más que esto iba a ser llevarme al piso y trabajarme ahí. Y yo tengo mucha confianza en mi piso, o sea, yo sé que me vas a llevar al piso y porque crees que me vas a finalizar es bien difícil. Entonces dije, ok, si pones la pelea de pie, voy a mantenerlo a distancia, moviéndome, tocándolo. Eso no se pudo, no pasó, no me dio nunca la distancia. Tuvimos que hacer un reajuste y me acuerdo entre descanso, mis coaches me dijeron, mantente lo básico, haz esto, lo otro, perfecto. Pero cuando salgo a pelear, recuerdo que mi coach solamente me gritaba, boxea, y dije, ok, vamos a boxearlo. Y ahí fue cuando empecé a hacer daño, pum, 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 pum. Me olvidé de mis patadas, dije, fuera show, vamos a boxear a este tipo.
Excelente. Y finalmente para mí, antes era alguna locura de tener este sueño, de decir, latinos van a estar en arte marcial mixta, pero ahora desde Tito Ortiz, Caín Velázquez, obviamente vimos a Grasso, Moreno, y Chito Vera llegó a lo más alto, retó por el título. Es ahora casi que se espera. ¿Qué tan increíble, emocionante ser parte de esta nueva etapa de peleadores que tienen sangre latina y tú eres de estos capítulos que lo van a llevar adelante posiblemente a lo más alto?
La verdad se siente súper bien y creo que, no voy a hablar solo de mí, pero creo que la sangre latina hoy en día ha demostrado tener un súper alto nivel en lo que es este deporte. Y creo que va a seguir así, o sea, la gente, la nueva escuela que está llegando hoy en día, si ves los muchachos que están peleando, la gente que peleó en noche UFC, los Ribovic, Celuber, toda esa gente, son latinos y son, o sea, son unas máquinas. O sea, yo creo que la verdad, el nivel de Latinoamérica va a llegar bien lejos.
Muy bien, felicidades y buena suerte con tu carrera.
Muchas gracias.
Itchy, sir. I have to piggyback off a head. Okay. Of course, dude, yeah. Enjoy Mormon. Nice, son. Real nice. Got that look to it, got that swagger. I'm figuring it out.
Something crazy is gonna happen. You're
And
gonna
like I
miss it
like,
out.
I have to adjust on the fly. Like I was like on the round.
Dana's gonna be like,
damn,
everyone's
your
scared
IQ's
of
like
$25,000.
better than I think it is. Yeah, but once you hit him with the stuff we were talking about, like when we had our media.
Don't leave. I have a question. I want a translation question afterwards, just for you. I have a one-to-one. Okay, not for this. Well, congratulations. How does it feel to be an official UFC fighter?
Поздравляю. Какие ощущения? Ты официально боец UFC. Микрофон подними.
Во-первых, всем рахмет. Эмоции пока, если честно, еще мы немножко в пространстве, пока еще не можем понять. Вот. Но мы долго шли к этому. С нашей командой, с моими тренерами, мы долго шли к этому, мы знали свою цель, и мы идем к ней. Так уже через вот Dana White Contender Series огромное спасибо этой площадке, что дает так вот молодым перспективным бойцам пробиться, показать себя. Вот. И мы шли к этой цели, и я думаю, уже завтра, когда прилетим домой, осознаем, что мы реально бойцы UFC и будем в 2 раза, в 3 раза усерднее пахать.
First of all, a big rahmet to everybody who was rooting for me. Thank you so much. And to be honest, with the emotions, we don't really understand what exactly transpired. We can't really put a finger on it. So for now, I'm not really sure. But you know, what I have to say is that we have to give thanks to Dana White Contender Series for this platform to give a hope, to give a chance to talented fighters, for them to come up there, to show themselves, to show what they were working for. My team and myself, we've been working for this for a long time. This has been a long journey. This wasn't an overnight thing. We knew a goal. We were going towards this goal. And I think tomorrow, once we get home, once we kind of settle a little bit, the emotions will settle, we will then realize what is now upon us, and we will work 2x, 3 times as hard to keep proving ourselves and showing ourselves in the UFC.
When you thought about this moment all those years that you were working for it, does it live up to the moment? I know you're saying that it's hard to kind of feel the moment right now, but when you think of this fight week and you think of the fight and you think of meeting Dana and all of this, did it live up to that excitement that you thought about all those years?
Когда ты представлял себе этот момент, я знаю, ты сказал сейчас, что как бы эмоции еще пока непонятно, но в принципе, когда ты шел к этому, когда вы работали к этому, когда ты представлял себе этот момент, он у тебя в голове проигрывался так же, вот что ты выиграешь, ты познакомишься с Дэной Уайт, тебе дадут контракт, он был таким, как ты его представлял, или пока еще ты не знаешь?
Нет, если честно, да, это происходило именно так, как я представлял. Мы представляли выход, разминку, мы полностью отрабатывали этот момент. То есть в парах разминались, все было так же, как я представлял дома, как там представлял на тренировках, как это будет происходить. И, конечно же, Дана Уайт — это глава. Перед ним было тоже честью подраться, чтобы именно он заметил, чтобы подписался, чтобы я подписался, чтобы именно он заметил. Это было, конечно, еще дополнительной такой мотивацией, чтобы подписаться. Вот, как-то так.
Yeah, to be honest, this is exactly how I envisioned it. This is what we kind of trained for. This is something that we, you know, even the way we warmed up, the way we walked out, the way we imagined the entrance, the way we imagined the fight, all of this. We even worked together in pairs, like how are we going to walk out. So all of this we did, and specifically to do it in front of Dana White. Dana White is the head of the company. To do this in front of him, to have him impressed, to have him be the person that gives us the contract, that signs us, it's very important for us. So this is exactly what we were working for and how we envisioned it.
Were there any surprises at all, either this week or in the fight itself?
Были ли какие-то сюрпризы, вот, может быть, в самом бою или вообще в целом в неделе, вот в этой, которая была? Какие-то сюрпризы, что-то неожиданное было?
Скажу так, что UFC и вообще, то есть Dana White Contender Series — это очень такая большая, огромная машина в плане встречи гостей, в плане организации. Это очень грамотная организация. Мне очень сильно понравилось. То есть нас встречали, провожали, их отношение к нам, гостям. Нет какого-то там деления, там американец, казах, русский. Все было на наивысшем уровне. Из-за этого нам здесь очень приятно. И хочу сказать, мы здесь не в последний раз, мы еще покажем.
Yeah, to be honest, we were really surprised, pleasantly surprised by the organization aspect of everything. I mean, the way they greet you at the airport, the way they bring you here, the way there's different people that are in charge of different things, the food, the training, the transportation, just the organization part of it is on just such a high level that we, all of us, felt really, really well taken care of. And they don't divide you like whether you're a Kazakh or an American or a Russian. Everybody's equal, everybody's taken care of, everybody is very, very welcome here. So to be honest, this is not the last time you see us. We're going to keep coming back, and we're going to keep showing ourselves.
How do you think your life will change now that you're a UFC fighter?
Как ты думаешь, изменится твоя жизнь теперь, когда ты стал бойцом UFC?
я думаю, изменится в лучшую сторону, но этот контракт, этот бой на Dana White Contender Series подтолкнул нас с тренером и с командой пахать еще в 2 раза больше, чтобы уже на арене UFC показывать красочные нокауты, красочные бои. Мы будем только стремиться к поясу. Мы здесь не просто так. Мы оставим, да, свою такую казахскую печать, казахский флаг на долгое время. Как вы знаете, здесь у нас очень возрастает ММА. У нас есть Шавкат Рахмонов, Асу Алмабаев, там, Азат Махсум, которые вот набираются. Плюс Барбатер в UFC, так что мы здесь надолго.
To be honest, this contract is something that's basically a signal for us. My life is definitely going to change, probably for the best, but it also gave me and my coach an understanding that we now have to start working twice, 3 times as hard. Keep on coming in here, keep winning, keep showing incredible knockouts. And you know, we have a great line of Kazakh fighters. We're going to make sure to leave our stamp, to raise our flag. We have undefeated guys. We have Shafkat Rakhmonov. We have Asu Alambayev. We have Azat Maksum, right? We have other guys. So all of these guys, this is something very, very important. We're going to show who we are. We're going to show a real Kazakh spirit in UFC.
Is there a little bit of friendly rivalry about who's going to be the first champion in the UFC?
Есть ли между вами какая-то такая братская борьба насчет того, кто будет первым чемпионом из Казахстана в UFC?
Если честно, у нас такой нету. Конечно, мы хотим, чтобы каждый из наших бойцов становился все сильнее, лучше и как бы выигрывал пояса. Но сейчас, конечно же, самый близкий это Шавкат Рахмонов. Вы знаете, сейчас там ажиотаж возле его боя с Билалом. Вот. Все-таки мы надеемся и верим, что Шавкат привезет этот пояс в Казахстан, и он будет у него. Мы только попали в UFC, я еще не раскрылся, я раскрылся только на 20%. Вот. Я покажу еще свою борьбу, свой грэпплинг, свой бокс. Так что UFC, я думаю, это та площадка, где дадут мне полностью раскрыться как бойца.
You know, to be honest, we don't really have this like friendly rivalry or whatever. We just want all of our guys to become champions. And of course, we want this belt to come back to Kazakhstan. It seems as though right now, Shafkat is the closest one to doing that, to bringing the belt. You know, all the noise that's happening about his fight with Bilal. Obviously, we want him to bring the championship belt. But we all want to be champion. And I got to tell you that we have just gotten into the UFC. This is just the beginning. I haven't even opened up. I haven't shown even 20% of what I'm good for. I'll keep getting better. I will show my grappling. I will show my wrestling. I will show what we're able to do here.
And when you think about that debut, do you have a dream of what you'd like that to look like? Do you have a location you'd like to fight or an opponent or even a date?
И вот когда ты думаешь про свой дебют уже непосредственно в организации UFC, ты продумывал, где ты хочешь, чтобы это произошло, когда произошло? Может быть, у тебя есть какое-то имя соперника, с которым ты хотел бы в дебюте сразиться? Ты об этом еще думал уже думал или еще нет?
Прям, конечно, мы о таком не думали, но для чего мы здесь? Чтобы драться с сильнейшими. Вот. Из топ-10, топ-15, вообще без разницы, любого подавайте, будем газовать. Все-таки есть команда, тренера мои, то есть менеджер. Мы все обговорим, обсудим, а я как боец, я готов хоть завтра же подраться, вообще без разницы.
You know, we haven't thought about it exactly who we want to fight, but anybody from top 10, top 15, give them to me, feed them to me. I mean, I'm ready. We're here to win. We're here to show ourselves. We're going to put the pedal to the metal. You know, as a fighter, I'm ready to fight tomorrow, but we got a team, we got managers, we got to talk about it. We got to think through it, and we'll make it happen.
I have just one on the fight tonight. It seemed like your opponent tonight really just couldn't figure you out at all. Your left hand was landing flush all night long. Did you notice any frustration from his side tonight?
Вопрос про бой, про сегодняшний, вопрос про твоего соперника. Такое впечатление, что он вообще не мог тебя разгадать. Он все время, твоя левая рука, все время твой левый удар, все время приходился прямо в него. Он ничего не мог с этим сделать. Тебе не показалось, что у него просто не получилось тебя разгадать как пазл, как бонус?
Возможно, это так. Но мы, то есть, подошли к этому бою очень профессионально, очень грамотно. Мы долго готовились, мы его разбирали его сильные и слабые стороны. Из-за этого, наверное, все-таки я был чуть быстрее его, то есть опережал его, на долю секунды был быстрее его и все-таки подбирал ключи к нему. Все-таки мы разбирали, мы знали, как он будет бить, как он будет работать, знали, что он немножечко медленнее меня. Вот. Но Бартош очень хороший соперник, очень сильный, молодой, перспективный, высокий, там, с большим сердцем. Да. Но это бой, у нас ничего личного нету, нет каких-то там моментов. Мы здесь ради спорта, ради поднятия флага. Вот. Из-за этого очень сильный соперник, ему только удачи. А своим другим соперникам я хочу сказать, вам будет в следующих боях еще сложнее.
You know, you might be right about him not being able to solve me as a puzzle, but when it comes to our preparation, we really dissected him really tight. We wanted to look at everything. We wanted to look at all his combination, all his punches. We specifically looked through everything. We're prepared for everything. We're prepared specific combinations. And, you know, when it comes to the opponent, he's a young guy. He's a talented guy. He's a great fighter. He's tall. He's strong. He's got a really big heart, and I think that, you know, he's got a future. It's just that we have done our preparation so meticulously that I was a little faster than him. Maybe like, you know, like a millisecond faster, but still I was ahead of him. He wasn't as fast as me. He was slower. And so the reason for that is because me and the team, we've prepared really hard, really dissected him. Nothing but good luck to him. This is just sport. We're not here for any kind of, you know, outside the octagon fighting. We're just here for representation of our country, to raise our flag above the octagon, and to show good sportsmanship.
Congratulations.
Just a quick one for me, just to follow up on what Hero was talking about. That left hand was there, cross, overhand. It seemed like you could have honestly just given up like a boxing lesson for 15, but you went for that finish. Walk me through that finish, and what was the talks like where they said maybe, hey, throw that left high kick, it's going to be there all night.
Опять же, чуть-чуть добавим к тому предыдущему вопросу насчет того, что твоя левая рука все время попадала в точку все время. Но не только она. У тебя был левый кросс, у тебя был оверхенд. Такое впечатление, что ты 15 минут просто мог учить его боксу, показывать ему мастер-класс по боксу. Но все же ты решил, что будет финиш. Как это произошло? То есть тебе из угла подсказывали, говорили, что вот будет правая нога, будет левая нога, будет хай-кик, что он зайдет? Или как так получилось, что финиш там для тебя был, и ты его забрал?
Вообще мы с тренерами, да, со своей командой, мы работаем над всеми аспектами, то есть удары ногами, коленями, клинч, над борьбой. И у меня, как у бойца, у многих есть свои фишки. То есть во время боя, как вы говорите, я попадал. Я много попадал, но я не развивал свою атаку. Я мог развить атаку, но, может быть, где-то это было бы глупо. Да, где-то заходить в размен или еще что-то. Из-за этого я его старался читать. Я его старался читать, заходил за его переднюю ножку. Вот. А хай-кик, я так скажу, это домашняя заготовочка.
You know, to be honest, it's not just the boxing that we worked on. You know, we worked a lot on all aspects of the fight, whether it was kicks, whether it was punches, crosses, whatever, even grappling. So when it comes to the fight itself, you know, I wasn't trying to kind of attack that much at first. I was really doing my reads. I was making sure I understand what he's throwing at me. You know, I could have gotten forward. I could have started getting in the brawl with him, but I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to overpower him and kind of just like turn it into a bar fight. So the thing for me was that the high kick, it was homework. It was something we've prepared. We knew that there was a possibility for it. So it's sort of kind of like a thing that I do, you know. So I've finished others that way. So it's my thing. So I knew that it was going to be there if we prepare it.
Excellent. Well, can't wait to see it again. Congrats on the win and congrats on the contract.
Thank you very much.
Let's go to this.